saint.
very first solution.
Quand tu pars, tu lis le livre saint, tu te rends
This can
compte
take a long time because if it's a heated
tu as plus de
argument,
lumière dans ta vie.
people
Tu
need to calm
comprends en
down
fait
and
ta
maybe under
religion
better
et
circumstances
tu
they'll
sais comment
understand.
t'y prendre avec les autres.
I've always had a belief in God, to my knowledge. That I'm sure there were times as a younger person where I may have kind of had some doubts, but to my recollection, God has always been a part of my life. But religion, organized religion, has always been something that just didn't click for me.
For a long time, that was fine with me. I just sort of went along with what I had from my parents and from my community. But it started not making a lot of sense when I was in college, and I began to decide that perhaps there was no God. I went through that period for a while, and then slowly came back to an understanding that certainly there's a supreme being, something created all of this, but I didn't really have an understanding of what that was.
How can I believe or understand or make a decision on something I do not understand? So I was always very inquisitive, and my journey started very early, and I prayed to God to help me find the truth. And I think that the basis for everyone's journey ends up with the truth if they truly seek to find the truth.
When I found the Quran, when the Quran found me, I should say, it had such a strong impact on me. And the Quran spoke so truly. I mean, it hit me, even though what I knew about Islam, quite honestly, was very terrifying.
I began a friendship with someone who was searching for the truth, and she and I, in conversations, I began to realize that what she was finding in Islam, or submission, was actually what I had come to believe anyway. I just didn't know there was a name for it. And of course, Islam, as it was in the world, was a little scary to contemplate, but she gave me a Quran to read, and as I began to read that, I came more and more to realize that, yes, this is what I believe. There is a God, absolutely, and the more I was able to realize that I need to submit to that God, the better and better my life became. Reading the Quran and doing the practices focused my mind and my heart and my soul on God, and I was able to come to that realization that God is God and He is running everything.
But God is the understanding of God is so strong in the Quran, and there was so much more there than I had ever understood before, that I knew that for me this was the truth. And I needed to do something more with it than just read it. A friend of mine who had become Muslim was not as comfortable as she originally had been, and so she gave me her Quran. And I thought, I'll read it, because I had been reading the Bible. I'd been reading pretty much whatever I was searching at that point. I had done a lot of reading, and when I read the Quran, as I say, it spoke to me in a way that nothing else had. It just was very clear and gave information. It touched me in a way that nothing else had. That's all I can say, really. One of the beautiful things about Quran is that it tells us to read everything and then take the best. I think that that's one of the reasons that I began to feel comfortable with the Quran, because it was the first time ever I had read something that said, don't read anything else. It was more like, God tells us to use our own minds, to look at everything out there, to study whatever we're attracted to, and then choose the best.
There is a verse in the Quran that says, I have given you eyes, ears, mind, use them, and you can be led to the truth if you are truly pure in your heart. And that's what I use, and that's what excites me about Islam. It is total freedom of you finding the truth on your own and coming to peace with God.